starting 11 of our favorite lefties of all time. Not the best lefties of all time. Spoiler alert, Messi is not on my team. Our favorite of all time. Uh, Talk to me about what your thought process was going into this, and how hard is it for you? I know you had a long list of players.
Yeah. Yeah, though this one was hard. The last one we did, the Dutch team, was hard because there was so much sort of historical research needed, right? It took a while to dive through the history and figure things out. This one for me was hard because I sat down just to make a list of what are all the lefties I can think of that, pop into my brain. And all of a sudden I had a list of like 40 people. And I was like, what do I do with this? So it took me a while to piece through it and try to pull out, in the end, I literally feel like I probably had 20 guys that I would have liked in my starting 11. I just had to kick some people out. So it was tough for me. It was a different sort of challenge than the last time, but it was definitely a fun exercise. You always get into it and start pulling out these names and these memories of players that you'd kind of forgotten about. But it's really fun to kind of relive that as you're going through it.
Yeah, it was easy for me to come up with midfielders and attackers. I had three defenders right off the bat, but finding that fourth defender, I had to kind of think through a little bit.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I definitely didn't have as long of a list as you did. I got about 20 guys. I nailed it down to 11. So this is our favorite, but we have to make a formation. We're doing a 4-4-2, so we can't have seven forwards on there. Um, so we want to make it more of a starting 11. So I'll start it off. We already talked about it previously. We don't know our rosters, but we know our goalies. And my goalie, I'm Team Blue, Petr Cech, in goal for me. I know he's in goal for you. I've always liked him. I don't know why. He's had an amazing career. He's one of the best goalies ever. Obviously, a lefty, and he always wore that little soccer helmet. I don't know the
Yep.
official word for it, but he just I don't know. Seems like a likable guy. I liked his game. He was a great goalie for years, and he was the first one that came to mind. Other qualifying goalies, Ederson, I thought about, but then there was that thing about him wearing the same underwear every single match, and I was like, I don't know, man. This guy can't make my team with that. So I
Yeah.
went check.
Yeah, I did as well. Czech is obviously an absolute legend for a really long time. One of the most sort of iconic and recognizable goalies, I would say. Um, I also had the opportunity to see him in person. I think I told you the story before, but back in 2018, I was in London on a work trip, and I was able to scalp a ticket to the Arsenal Watford game directly behind one of the goals, and I was right behind Petr Cech as he saved a PK to post his 200th clean sheet in the Premier League.
Oh, that's
So just one of the
awesome.
most sort of memorable goalie moments I've ever had. So he immediately popped in my mind when we did this. So he was one of the easy selections for me. This would be both a valid, worthy person both for the best as well as my favorite in the goalie position.
Absolutely. Yeah, I have a couple of those people that I saw in person that resonated with me that made my list. So we'll get to those guys later. Are you having trouble putting your goalie on there?
It's on the sheet for me. Do you not see it?
I don't see it on the field. So I'm going to go ahead
All
and
right. Yeah.
count that one up as a technical difficulty for you,
Yeah.
buddy.
Why don't we take a sip because
Take a
it's showing
sip,
on my
and
showing on my screen.
I'll put my my right back, or my left back, sorry, um, out there. I think for you
Uh,
this is no surprise, but current player Andy Robertson is my left back. He is the left back at Liverpool. He's one of my favorites. I just love his uh, tenacity. He's just an absolute gamer, and I'm all about it. So, Andy Robertson, you're my left back. Let's go.
All right. So we're gonna continue with the technical difficulty. I'm just gonna have to verbally say my team for now. I'll work on trying to get the names out there, but
Okay.
for some reason it's not pasting correctly. So at my left back, the first name that jumped off the page was Roberto Carlos. Just sort of my first memory of a true left back, and all the crazy things he could do, as well as the just. I think I told you this before. Was just he was the first player that I saw up close that I realized was like at a totally different athletic level than a normal person, right? The first person that I saw as a kid that was like, wow, professional soccer players are not like us. They're not like normal people. He was just insanely athletic, these massive tree trunks of legs, and just could pulverize a ball with his left foot. Regardless of all the headlines, the free kicks and stuff, just him as a player, I loved watching just kind of his stature and his presence on the field. He just seemed like a legitimate brick wall at left back. So
That's because he was, and he's probably the
he was
best
he
left back of all time, and
and
best left
probably
footer of all
probably
time, maybe too. Wow, Messi and
people just
stuff, but
bouncing off of him left and right.
yeah, but no, not all players look like Roberto Carlos. He was one of a kind. He's definitely so he was right on the cusp of me. He is not my one of my favorites though. He's just below one of my favorites, but definitely feel the same way you do. I'm gonna now put up my center back, who is you'll love this one. Italian for you, Chiellini,
Yes,
left-footed center back.
we
Gotta
agree.
love it. You got him too? Hell yeah!
Of
I
course.
figured you might. I thought you might have him. He's just again tenacious, fits well with Robertson, and I feel like he was so good for so long, and I just love the way he played. Love the way he played. Um, I don't know. I could talk forever about him, but he was an
Yeah.
easy choice for me. My center back, first thing I thought of was Chiellini. Get him in there.
There we go. I got the screen working, so I'll take a drink for solving the
Oh, all
technical
right, all
difficulty.
right. You should put it like maybe on. Oh, you're gonna go against me. I see. All right, cool, cool, cool.
Oh yeah, yeah. I figured we'd have our teams stacked up against each
Hell
other.
yeah, I
So
like it.
yeah, I love Chiellini. He's the ultimate attitude of like I might not have nearly as well good a skill as you. You might be faster than me. You might just be better than me in pretty much every aspect. But you're damn well not going to care more than I care. You're damn well not going to hustle more than I'm going to hustle. Whoever it was, even he was going up against players like Messi in his prime, and he just would not back down, no matter who he was going against,
Yeah,
no matter how outmatched or scared he should have been. He never was. So just the epitome of like continuing the lineage of Italian defenders. You talk about Baresi's, Maldini's, Cannavaro's, Nesta's. He was just the next generation of those guys. The legends just flowed through him, no matter how difficult the situations got. He always rose to the occasion. So just somebody you just love to have on your team, somebody you'd love to go to battle with.
yeah.
And I would have loved to be friends with him. I'd love to have a beer with that guy. He seems awesome.
I feel like if you're playing, you want him as your center back. Feel
Yeah.
comfortable with him back there. And I just want to point out because you mentioned Maldini. I saw a few people out there that think Maldini
Yeah.
is left-footed. He is not left-footed. He is
He's not.
right-footed, but he is equally good with his left because he played left back most of his career and he worked on it. And he's just one of the best players of all time, equal foot. So we wanted to have true natural lefties on the team. So Maldini did not qualify. So he's
Yeah, I
not on
actually
the
saw
list.
this. I actually saw this quote from sometime in the '90s from some manager, and they were like listing off the best left-footed players in the world, and they listed Maldini. Like even managers of like top teams thought he was left-footed, but
But
he's
if you
actually naturally right-footed.
if you see him take like long passes, like cross field passes, and he's got space, so he doesn't have to take it with his left, he plays it with
Yeah.
his right.
Hmm.
So yeah, I would love to put him on there because he's one of my favorites, but no, didn't qualify. All right. Next one for me is my other center back, and I think this one might shock you. Another active player, David Alaba.
Dude, what are we
Did you do
doing?
the same thing?
I did.
Oh man. I mean, it makes sense. He's awesome.
I
Like,
know. I
how
know.
do you not like David Alaba? Like, my favorite thing with David Alaba is watching him play for Austria because
Uh-huh.
it's a lot like Davies for Canada,
Yeah.
where it's like this guy is by far our best player by a mile, and he is able to move forward, basically do everything for the team. He's just a
Hmm.
really good all around player who just happens to play center back in my mind. And he's got everything you want: speed,
Yeah.
talent, vision. He's got that defensive mentality, which not a lot of players have. So he's able to do a little bit of everything. So he's an easy pick for me.
Yeah, I struggled with the defense. It definitely was the spot I took the longest. But I felt like, eventually I felt very comfortable choosing him. I love his style of play. Like you mentioned, a lot of his qualities, right? It's enjoyable to watch, and it's like very polished. And he can do crazy stuff. He can take free kicks. He can play on the wing if you want him to, like he does with Austria sometimes, right? He can play center back. So I love players that are flexible and can kind of play wherever and never seem to be a detriment to the team. He for how big of a name he had and an image, he always still seemed like a team player, which I feel like a lot of modern players struggle with at times.
Mm-hmm.
So I liked both the personality and the play style.
For sure. All right, my right back. It's hard to find a lefty right back, so I just picked another left back, and he's
So,
gonna play right back for us. And that's John Arno Riise.
oh yes,
Tell me you
okay.
remember him.
Oh yeah,
Norwegian
I think he's on my
international.
bench or honorable
He
mention.
made your
He's on my
honorable
honorable
mention. Hell
mention.
yeah.
Yeah, he did for
I
sure.
know him best for his time at Liverpool, uh, but he's a Norwegian international. Had an absolute rocket for a left foot. He could shoot the ball from midfield and it would still be rising as it was getting to the goal. It
Yep.
was insane. Like anytime he took a shot, it just like blew me away how hard he could kick the ball. So he was an instant favorite of mine when I saw him play. So easy
Hmm.
pick for me. He was one that I thought of almost immediately. He was probably a top five pick for my team, easily top five.
I like it. I know. I love the guy. I love the free kicks. I don't know. Besides the free kicks, not much inspired me. But obviously, the free kicks alone were just absolutely crazy and
That's absolutely fair.
legendary.
That's absolutely fair. He's
Legendary.
definitely not the best player on my team. I'll say
Yeah.
that, but I
Oh, for
liked
sure.
him. I liked him. Yeah.
So for mine, I also struggle with a right back. I had to just plug this guy in somewhere. I don't know if he would do the best at right back, but he's a great player. Super long career. So I'm going to put Ryan Giggs there.
Oh, okay.
I feel like at times he was flexible enough to play like a left back, right? In his career he could play left back, left wing, left mid, kind of wherever you wanted him on the left he could play. And then later in his career you could even put him in the middle and
Mm-hmm.
he could kind of control things in the middle. So I feel like, at his peak he could have done all right in a right back, and especially in the modern game where you have all these guys that are left footed on the right cutting in, he would have thrived at that. I think it just wasn't a thing in his time when he was a player. So,
Yeah.
but legendary career, one of the all-time assist leaders of anybody like that with these 20 plus year careers. I love,
Infamous
total
post
Premier League
career.
legend, infamous. But we're just talking about career here.
Still your favorite. That's cool. That's cool. That's cool.
So I had to have him in the team.
All right, my first midfielder. This I will say was my last selection for the team. So it's not to say I don't love him, but this is David Silva.
Oh, okay.
I got to see him play 2012, 2013. Um, for Manchester City against Wolves, and amazing player. It would blow my mind to see like how small he was and how big everyone else was around him, but yet they couldn't take the ball off him ever. And he's so good on the ball. I always liked how he played. I don't always love Spanish players, but he was one of the Spanish players that I really enjoyed watching.
Yeah, he's great. I have him on my bench, so he made my bench. At one moment he was in my starting, but then he came off. I went, if we're gonna start with sort of that like slightly deeper midfielder, I went with one of my all-time favorite players, another Spanish player, is Guti, who had one of the silkiest left feet ever in the history of the game.
He was
Just unbelievable passer with his left foot. Oh, you have him too.
I
Hell
got
yeah.
him
All
too.
right.
You better
Let's
believe it,
go.
man. He was
Let's go, dude.
he was one of my top 5 too. I can't remember exactly when, but he was like, oh yeah, Guti's on the team.
Dude, so good. I recently watched a video that was kind of like, it was like a 15-minute walkthrough of his career and some of the highlights, and it was like also one of the ultimate bad situation led to him never reaching his true absolute potential, but literally played striker, defensive midfield, attacking midfield, outside midfield. He could play any position. He did well in every position. But his natural position, I think, is that sort of center, more holding midfielder where he can pass and distribute. Was what he was best at.
Mm-hmm.
But just some of the most iconic highlights and passes. He was playing with the likes of Zidane and these other guys that are just absolutely legendary. And he rose up to their level. He was at the level of those other guys, of the other Galacticos, and was a homegrown talent. And wasn't typically talked about amongst the other big names, but was more than deserving to be a part of their company.
Amen. He had world-class vision, world-class passing, anticipation. He was fantastic, so awesome. I feel like he walked so Kevin De Bruyne could run. You know what I mean?
That's a good, yeah, I like that.
Yeah, he was awesome. Like I said, one of my first picks on here. Fantastic, all-time favorite for me.
It definitely would also be on the all-party 11 as well.
Probably it was a detriment to his career a little bit, but
for sure.
But he would for sure have a beer with us on the podcast. Gucci,
all right.
Give us a call anytime.
Yeah, dude, come on, man. We know you're out there.
All right, drop your other midfield out there, because I also had Guti.
My other midfielder is Johan Cruyff.
Oh, okay.
So, I thought he was right-footed. Most people think he's right-footed. He was essentially just as good with both feet, but he was actually naturally left-footed. He could pretty much do anything he wanted to with his right, and a lot of times would favor his right because it was unpredictable for the defenders. But actually left-footed. We talked about him a lot in the last starting 11. It really sort of reinvigorated, my passion for what he did for the game and just how good he was and influential. So I thought I had to include him in this list.
Yeah. No, you won't hear any gripe from me. That's an awesome pick. He didn't make my team. He didn't make my bench, but it's only because I've only seen highlights of him. I never got to see him. Never got to see him play, but from how he's talked about and revered in some of his highlights, absolute legend.
All right, outside mid.
Outside mid. You want to take us away with the outside mid? Who you got?
All right, so once again, definitely an easier situation than the right, the right midfield. Much more common these days, right, for a left footer to be out in sort of the right mid. So not quite the same issue as the right back. The problem with the midfield is there's so many players, so many legendary players that you can put anywhere. So starting with my left mid, I put Gareth Bale.
I have him on my right. I have him on my right.
Okay, you put him on the right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So he could do both, right?
I think
so this was sort of
more
like
on the right than on the left in his career, to be honest with you.
Yeah, you're probably right. Yeah, especially once he was at Madrid for
Yeah,
sure, because he had Ronaldo on the right and then him or Ronaldo on the left and him on the right.
yeah,
So
halfway in
yeah,
the
you're
middle.
probably right. Um,
So yeah, for our matchup, we're gonna have a Bale on Bale. Your left, my right. He's gonna face off against himself.
yeah, the reason I put him there was because the guy on the other side never plays on the left, so I had to put him there. So, but dude, absolute legend. We talked about it a little bit. I think when we were teasing our Streets Won't Forget was that people don't realize how unbelievably good he was when he was in the Premier League and made the move to Real Madrid. I feel like he got overshadowed and kind of um, incorrectly rated at times when he was on Real Madrid and didn't get his due. But he was incredibly talented and just so exciting to watch. One of the most fun players to watch ever when he was at his peak. So he had to make the list. He was just so entertaining and so exciting.
He's one of my favorite players. I again another one I got to see live when he was at Tottenham. He was so good on Tottenham, man. He was so fast, just unstoppable with and without the ball. If you played a through ball and he was 2 yards behind the defender, he would beat the defender to the ball, and he was just incredible. It was so fun to watch him play. Always been one of my favorites, and a huge golf fanatic.
Oh
Fits
yeah,
right
dude.
in, dude. The only thing,
Wales, golf, Madrid.
he does not drink. He does not drink, which I'm all for.
Mm.
I've been cutting down on
Hmm.
my drinking too. But yeah, he's not a drinker. But hey, man, he's a golfer. I feel like
Yep.
me and him are kindred spirits. He got a hole in one. Did you see him get a hole in one at Torrey? Hole
No.
three, iconic par three down the
Oh
hill with like the water in the
yeah.
back. He
Towards the
aced that.
water.
He
Yeah.
aced it.
Damn.
Yeah,
He's a real golfer.
what a legend, dude. So yeah, he's on my team too. He's on my right. I have
Nice.
him on my right. All right, let me drop my left in there. I think
All
this
right, let's see it.
this was my number one. Who's on your favorite lefties of all time? First pick, probably my worst player.
Yeah.
Hadam Ben Arfa. Love Ben Arfa, dude. He's so fucking awesome. I admit he is my worst player, but he's number one in my heart, baby. Just such an insane dribbler to the fact where he was like detrimental to his team with how much he dribbled, but he was just one of a kind with his dribbling. Like, and I couldn't like he would surprise me with how he was able to weave through players, and it was just so fun to watch. I just loved it, dude. His number one play, if you haven't seen him play, just look up, just type in Howden Ben Arfa Newcastle, and it'll come up into YouTube. One of the best. Probably ran for like 80 yards and scored the goal, cut through like five people. It was insane. All solo, right down the middle. Fucking awesome, dude. I love him. He's one of my favorite players of all time, and he was probably I'm gonna give him my captain spot actually, because he was my number one
Ooh,
pick.
your number one pick. All right. I like it. All right, my player on the right, also not sort of in the conversation of like best of all time, but I just absolutely loved for a certain stretch of time, and I just felt like I had to include on my team. It's Riyad Mahrez
Oh, nice.
on
Okay.
the left side, or on the right side, cutting in on his left.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, just ever since the magical Leicester season, he was such a big part of that, and just was so humble coming into a situation like that. Obviously, he ended up going to a very big team. He doesn't get to play as much as he should, but he's been able to win a lot of things after that. But that stretch of time when he was on Leicester, and when he first made his move away, just left such an impression on me. It was so cool to see somebody so unheralded and, coming in on such a cheap transfer, just transform the Premier League.
Mm.
It was so exciting to see. And just, I don't know, there's something about his style where he's super skinny, right, and small, but just so slick with the ball and able to get by people and keep the ball. I love the style of play. I love the attitude, and I'll never forget that Leicester team, and he was a big part of it.
Totally. The fact that he won a title with Leicester, like, go make your money somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
You've done it. You've reached the top
You
of the mountain. Like
yep.
as you said, he was
You
pivotal to that team. Absolutely pivotal. It was him and Vardy offensively,
yep.
and you won the league with Leicester. I mean,
So good,
come
man.
on,
Yeah.
man. That's so sick.
That
And
team, man, was amazing.
I do think he should get more run at Man City.
Yep. It's
But
tough. I mean, there's
they
great
have so
players
many
there, but
guys. But yeah, great
yeah.
pick. I love that pick. Okay, I'm gonna go with my first striker. He's more of like a second striker, so I'm gonna put him
Okay.
slightly behind my top guy, and that is Lucas Podolski,
Oh, all right.
German international. Speaking of a cannon of a left foot, this guy, I don't know what he did, if he put like lead in his shoes or what, but he could fire the ball. I would love to see him and Riese have like a free kick contest and see who could hit it harder. Um, I don't know why. Also, not the best player, but fantastic. I just love. For some reason, I can't explain it. I don't know. A bit of a man crush, maybe. Who knows? But
Yeah.
loved watching him play. Loved watching him shoot the ball. It was just a lot of fun to see him.
Yeah, he's a lot of fun. He definitely. I mean, he made my. Let's see. I think he made my bench. Let me see.
Who didn't make your bench? Let's be honest. You got like 50 guys on
Hey,
there.
I got. Oh no, I only have 5 people on my bench, and then everybody else below. He's
Oh, okay, okay.
officially on my bench of 5
Oh, okay.
players.
So I see. I
So
see.
when
You
when
tiered
I
it.
say, yeah, when I say bench, I mean the first 5 out, and then after that, it's like honorable mentions. So yeah, he was part of my first 5 out on the bench. So yeah, I loved him too. I always just like I always just felt like he never reached his potential, and like I don't know, it kind of that's probably what
That's right.
swayed me from leaving him out. But dude, that left foot. When we're just talking about left feet, that's one of the best ever, man. That left
Exactly.
foot was
Exactly.
was dope.
That left foot was lethal. Absolutely lethal. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. So yeah, these that's why I could have easily put a ton of other better left foot players. Like I said, Messi's not
yeah.
on my team. Um,
Well,
so
he's on my team.
hey, put him on there. Okay, nice. And that's safe
My
spot.
first guy. So I struggle with this one, kind of like I think along the lines where you're thinking. It's like obviously, if you're talking about best, he's the first name on the board probably. But the more I was thinking about guys with left feet, where I've loved the left foot, guys that are so left-footed that they just dribble people left-footed when they should even go to their right foot.
Hmm.
Just kind of stuck in my mind. In particular, was that one. There was the one play where he sat Jerome Boateng on his ass. I don't know if you remember that dribble,
Oh sure,
but I
yeah,
was
yeah.
just like, dude, there's some of those left-footed moments with him are just unmatched, man. Where he literally just did everything with his left foot.
It's amazing.
So yeah, I just felt like I had to include it from that perspective. I felt like it was a little bit cheating at first to just put his name on there, but after a while, I came back. I was like, dude, I got to put it on, man.
Yeah,
He's one of the best left feet I've ever seen, and he does it without like so many other prolific strikers are so good, sort of like technically with like how they strike the ball. Like he never really uses his laces that much, right? He's kind of unorthodox with how he kicks the
a lot
ball,
of inside
but
of the
it's
foot.
still but it's still so good. So
Hmm.
it's very unique, and for it to be unique like that and still be so good, I think is another calling card of his.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I don't know what this says about me. Some psychologist out there might be able to tell me, but because he was so good, I I never rooted for him as hard
Mm,
as maybe if he was like a mid-level guy. I kind of like to root for the underdog, the 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 next
hmm.
the next best thing. I don't know why that
Yeah,
is, but I find myself always rooting for those types of players, teams. And the fact that he was always at top of the mountain, like, yeah, he's the best. Yeah, there's no
yeah.
denying it. He's fantastic. Uh, Made me just not root for him as hard as if he was like, you know,
I I get it, and I think particularly in his case, it sucks because I think we all just absolutely fucking hated those Barcelona teams. It didn't hate him, but I hated the style of those teams and what they were doing. And so I think a lot of that can kind of get mixed up in our minds at some points, right? Where it's just like, ugh,
Yeah.
I hated like Busquets and those dudes, right? But it's like he happened to be part of that and he was a big part of that. But I don't know. I think I've tried to disconnect, my feelings for him from my feelings for that team
Yeah,
in that
same.
era.
Yeah, he's the greatest. He's the greatest. So yeah, good pick. All right, my forward, my number 9, the best looking guy on my team,
Oh yeah.
Robin van Persie.
Oh
He's always been a favorite
yeah.
for me, dude. Even like his early days at Arsenal, I was like, "Who is this guy?" Like when he would, oh, you got him too? Hell yeah,
Oh,
you
for
gotta
sure,
have it,
dude.
dude. He's so and he's very left-footed, like you said. He's
hmm
very left-footed, but
Yep.
the dude could finish anywhere with that left foot on a volley. He was awesome on a volley. Uh, I feel like he just epitomized everything that I wanted to be in a player, but just
Oh,
was
just so silky smooth.
never got to that level exactly. Like
Yeah.
he was so
Yeah.
smooth. He's such a good finisher.
The
Oh yeah.
technique was just I feel like he's who you should take videos of if you're like building a technical training video for like teaching somebody how you should kick the ball or receive the ball. I just feel like his was like the most beautiful style. Like it was just perfect. It just looked technically perfect when he would hit volleys. It was just it was like
I feel like even when he missed, he connected with that volley. You know what I
yeah.
mean?
Yeah, it was just
Like I never
it
saw
was a
him whiff it.
shock when he did. Yeah, it was a shock if you ever didn't have a solid connection on a volley or anything like that. Just just beyond just a good player, just a fantastic player to watch and
Mm-hmm.
just appreciate while he was playing.
Yeah, absolutely. Loved him. He was fantastic. All right, let me run back my team for you.
Yeah,
I got Czech in goal. I have Chiellini and Alaba as my center backs. Left back, Andy Robertson. Right back, John Arnarise. Two midfielders in the middle, David Silva and Guti. And then outside left, Ben Arfa. Outside right, Gareth Bale. Up top, I have Lucas Podolski and Robin Van Persie.
like it. Many names I've heard from Austin over the years that he loves, so it's
Fantastic, dude.
great to see
I
them all
love
on one team.
love a good lefty. Love a good lefty.
Yeah, yeah. All right, so my team, I've got check and goal as well. One of the so we ended up, yeah. What did we end up with? We ended up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We beat the over.
The
We ended up with
over.
6 matched players. So
Should have taken the
check and
over.
goal. I've got Alaba and Chiellini in defense, so we have the same central defense and goalie. I have Roberto Carlos out left, and then I squeezed in Ryan Giggs on the right. So my only true out of position player on the board. I also have Guti in the midfield. I'm playing a diamond with Cruyff ahead of him. And then I've got Bale out on the left and then Mahrez on the right. The battle of who can actually survive out on the left between those two guys. And then up top, I also have Van Persie, but then I have Messi instead of Podolski.
I will concede that you are winning this match. Your team will destroy my team.
I mean, just having Cruyff, I feel like is
You have
like
Cruyff,
it's kind of
Messi,
a
and
cheat
Roberto
code.
Carlos. I don't have any of those guys. You have
I'm
Messi,
not.
Cruyff, and
I'm not gonna
Roberto
lie though.
Carlos. I have
Roberto Carlos is a
Podolski,
better.
Ben Arfa, and John Arnarise. Like, you're gonna
Yeah,
win. You're gonna win.
yeah, and Giggs too. I forgot about
And
Giggs.
Kings, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. All
That's
right,
all good.
so benches. I wanted to see. So you said you had a small bench. So I'll hit you with who was on my bench, and then I want to see who was on yours. So it's like I said. So I chose 5 players to make my official bench, and then I have a whole slew of players below, which I won't get into all of them. But honorable mentions, just out of honorable mention category, and so on. So on my bench, I mentioned already, I have Podolski. Um, I also have David Silva, who's on your team. He's on my bench. So those two that are in your team are on my bench, which is cool
Okay.
that we both thought highly of those guys. My other 3 bench players that came to my mind. I have Maradona, I have Antonio Rudiger, and I have Esteban
Is
Cambiaso
Rudiger
making my
left-footed?
bench. Is he not?
I don't know. I never thought of him as a lefty. Now I'm second guessing everything.
Oh shit, I might have got that wrong.
Sorry, good thing you didn't put
But
him on your roster. You might be right. I don't know. I just didn't know.
oh no, dude, I'm wrong. You're right. Yeah, he's right-footed. So scratch that. First player off of
You
my
gotta take a
honorable
drink for that
mention.
one.
I'm gonna take a drink for that. So my first player off is going to be Raul then.
Oh hell yeah, Raul was close for
Raul
me.
on the bench. Yep.
Okay, let me give you my bench, and then you can give me their honorable mentions. Wait, did you finish your bench? Sorry.
Yeah, that was my bench of five,
Okay,
but I got more.
so this is an order of how much I like them, not by talent level, but I did put it in
Yes.
order. So I have Bernadeschi, first cut. Fucking love Bernadeschi. Uh, Speaking of like a true lefty, that guy never wants to touch the ball with his right foot. And I love
Hmm.
the way he dribbled. I was really sad when he went to the MLS. He was like one of the few guys that went to the MLS like in their prime,
Yeah, exactly.
which says a lot about him. Uh, but disappointing for me. Um, and then I have Leroy Sané. I have Olivier Giroud, who I feel like gets no love, and you
Yep.
don't realize he's left-footed because he mostly heads the ball. Uh, but I really like Olivier Giroud. And then I have Roberto Carlos. I have a young Erling Haaland. Haaland,
Yep.
you still have time to make this list, but you're just so young. I can't. I can't
Can't do
even
it yet. Yep.
consider you to make this list, this team. And then Mo Salah. Fucking love Mo
Yep.
Salah.
Yeah.
Uh, so that's my
He
bench.
was he was competing for a spot with Mahrez for me, I feel like. Because the other guys I have on my bench, I don't really feel like they could fill that spot out on the wing. They're all more central players or strikers. So that when I was thinking of the right mid, it was him, it was Salah or Mahrez that I thought I would put in there. So I definitely agree with that. Yeah, so I have a whole slate of honorable mentions, some of the names you just said. I got Salah. I also wanted to shout out Leroy Sané, who had an epic time at Man City. I also had Rice, who you had. I wanted to shout out Ozil. I also had Bernadeschi.
Yes.
And then my just out of the honorable mentions, I also have Howland. I have Ben Arfa. I have Bernardo Silva, Marcelo, Robin, Giroud, Odegaard, Dybala, and Di Maria.
Yeah, that's good. Do you have a? Is Musa Dembele left-footed?
Oh, I didn't think he was.
He dribbles so unorthodox. I feel like it could go either way.
Fuck. Dembele.
But if he is, I thought of
There's
him.
too many. There's too many Dembeles.
I know, I know. There's probably like seven Musa Dembeles.
Moose.
Dembele on Barcelona is
There he is. I
left-footed, but
found
I
him.
don't like him.
He is. Let's see. He is. Oh, he's playing in Guangzhou right now. Okay. I
Mm,
was wondering where he was.
China.
Preferred. Preferred foot. He is right-footed. Yep.
All that suspense for a right footer. Damn it.
Yep. That's too
Yeah, it's
bad.
too good to be true. Too good to be true.
Wait, no. I was looking at the wrong Musa Dembele. He is left-footed. Yes.
All right,
There's
dude.
two Musa Dembeles with the exact same name.
I know it's a common name. Okay, he's on my bench. He's on my
Hell
bench.
yeah.
He
Hell
could
yeah.
even crack the lineup on a good
Slide
day.
him in. All right,
Dude,
some
he's
other
fantastic.
names that just crossed my mind that I just wanted to to say out loud and get your take if any of them even catch a whiff of being involved in your team. We have Rivaldo,
Yes, thought about it. Thought about it.
Gries, Griezmann,
No, I hate Griezmann. Hate
Adriano.
is a strong word. I don't hate Griezmann. I don't hate
Yeah, yeah.
Griezmann, but
He
I've
he
never
doesn't he isn't at this tier.
he he's in my indifferent category. I used to be like, this guy sucks. He's overpaid. Now, at later in his career, I'm like, I think he's a little more underrated at this point than he was from. But when France was winning and Griezmann was getting all the love, I'm like, Griezmann's like the seventh best guy on this team. You kidding me? Like,
Yeah.
it's not really his fault, I guess. I think the fact that he's white makes a big difference.
Yeah.
But I never liked him because of that reason. I always thought he was overrated.
Yeah.
So no, he's not on my
Yeah.
team.
I mean, he made my, bottom tier list here. Teo Hernandez, James Rodriguez,
James, yeah,
Ziyech.
James Rodriguez. I considered it, but the
You
fact
thought
that
about
he
it?
just fell off a cliff at like 25, I
uh,
lost taste for him.
Lukaku.
Lukaku. Lukaku. I actually didn't think about him, but no, he wouldn't have made my team.
And who do I got left here? Uh, yeah, that's it. That was it for my mentions. I do have three least favorites. I didn't know if you had saved any on the side for that.
I did not
But
say
we
least
can we
favorite.
can we can finish up with that.
Yeah,
So
what are
my
your
my
least favorites?
my least favorite left footers of all time, a guy we talked about a lot recently, Thibaut Courtois, is left
Oh
footed.
yes, for sure, for sure. Yep, he makes my list.
Patrice Evra was left footed.
Are you gonna say Ashley Cole?
And Ashley Cole.
Yep, yep.
Oh my God!
Most
Starting.
hated
I think
left footers.
at least two of those guys were starting members on my least favorite 11, so I had to get them in here.
Worst haircut for a left footer? Phil Foden.
Oh man! Oh,
Figure it
I didn't even
out.
think of Foden. Yeah.
Figure it out, Foden. You got the worst hair in the game. You look
Oh, I forgot
terrible.
about Saka's left-footed too, right?
Saka is left footed. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I missed that one.
There's
So
quite a few active lefties.
there's a lot of active, and I looked it up because I was curious going in, and it's literally there's only 8% of the population that's left-footed. It's a really small percentage, so it's definitely it's interesting that there's so many that are at such a high level to be a part of a list like this.
Well, lefties in general are harder to defend in basketball, in soccer, in anything because you're just not used to
You're
seeing
not
it.
used to it.
And
Yeah.
that like millisecond of hesitation from not being used to it is an advantage for the other player, for the left-footed player, the left-handed player. Like
Yeah.
my brother and my dad are lefty. I'm right-handed. So like I grew up like we're talking basketball here, but guarding a lefty, and it helped me a lot because I was more used to seeing it, but not being used to it, it's just so like your brain isn't used to going to that side as much.
Hmm.
And yeah, it's definitely an
You're not used to
advantage.
like how to turn your body that way, and yeah,
Yeah, you're just like
it's
mentally
different.
like assuming he's gonna go right. Um, yeah, there's like that little bit. I'm not saying it's you know like the end all be all, but it definitely is an advantage to be left footed, left handed in sports.
Yeah, definitely. All right, well there you have it.
I like our teams, man.
That was fun.
Yeah, that was awesome. We'll come back with another starting 11, and we got a few more in queue. We'll do a new country coming
Yeah,
up, and we've got a couple other favorite lists that we want to do as well. We mentioned the Streets Won't Forget. We're definitely going to do a Streets Won't Forget team. So
definitely.